Tip number 4, do not buy a car that has got at least 4 to 1 month left on their MOT. Do not buy a car that has got at least 4 to 1 month left on their MOT. This is very, very important. If you're living in the UK and you're planning on buying a used car, double check the MOT history. All you need to do is type in the car registration details, car registration number on the government website. It's going to tell you the MOT history. It's going to bring out the MOT history to you. It's going to tell you what they did previously, what they've changed, and the minor faults left. Now, I'm going to explain these 2 bits to you. Now, you can't drive the car if it's got a major fault. It's a legal requirement. You can't drive the car if it's got a major fault. The major fault is something you must fix immediately before you drive that car. So it could be problems with the engine, it could be problems with the tires, it could be problem with the braking system and all that. So you must change the major faults before you drive that car. Now, there are minor faults. Minor faults, you're allowed to drive the car with an advice to change it while driving the car. So most drivers might not bother changing the minor faults within that period the MOT will last, and then they will take it back after 1 year. They will drive it back to the MOT center, and then that minor fault becomes a major fault. I'll give you an example. So if the tires, if the tread is, if it's showing that this tire needs changing, but it's still good, like you could still drive the car with the tires and all that for a couple of months. After 1 year, that tire would have become extremely bad. So if you take it back for your MOT, they will see there that this tire is now bad. Okay, they will ask you to change it. It becomes a major fault. They'll ask you to change it. Now, what most sellers would do is, because they've got 4 months left on that MOT and all that, or 1 month left on the MOT, they would want to sell that car. And if the car has got a major fault, if you buy it, you're becoming it will become an issue to you. So you will change. If you take it for a MOT, you will be required to change that major fault before driving that car. It's a legal requirement. So I'm going to give you an example. If the minor fault was, like I mentioned, the tires and all that, that tire would have developed into a major fault before they want to sell that car, and it might be really expensive. So my advice is, tell them to do a fresh MOT check. Tell them to do a fresh MOT check before you buy the car. The car might appear cheap, but it's very tricky. Do not buy that car. Tell them to do a fresh MOT check, or look for a different car and buy. And once you're buying that car, if they've just done the MOT, you're going to see the major faults and the minor faults. You'll see that they've changed the major faults and they've got the minor faults. And if you can, you have 1 year to drive that car and then probably fix the minor faults before it develops into a major fault. And then after 1 year, the MOT expires. You have to do the MOT again. So at least you have 1 year to breathe. You have one year at least to breathe and then have time to drive the car. So do not buy a car that has got 4 to 1 month left on the MOT. Do not, even though it appears cheap, do not buy. That's the trick there. Do not buy. Tell them to do a fresh MOT check before you buy that car. It is very, very important.